And welcome back. Today we are going to make a maze using a 2-point perspective. So first thing we need to do to start that out is we need to divide our page roughly in the center. So for this particular one, I've got it at 6 inches on this side and 6 inches on that side as well. Don't need to draw in a horizon line because we are going to be covering the majority of it up. So with perspective, we have a vanishing point on either side of the page, and that is where the lines converge to. So to do this, we are going to start out by drawing all of the lines to one vanishing point, and it's going to be this one that's right here. But to start out with, we are going to draw the outside of our maze because we don't want to end up having to run off the page. It can run off the page, but we want to try not to. So we're going to start out with 2 lines that run perpendicular to our horizon line. So that way it gives us kind of a starting point. Now, with perspective, everything either goes to a vanishing point or it goes straight up and down. So I'm going to come to our vanishing point here, and I'm going to draw a line almost all the way out to the edge of the paper. And we're going to do the same thing right next to that. So it's going to line up to this vanishing point right here. So I'm kind of thinking ahead a little bit, so that way I can have the outside edge of my my maze here. So we're going to do this. I'm going to come over here. This is going to be out a little bit wider, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go like this. All right, so I'm going to erase these extra lines here. So now we have 3 sides of the outer portion of our maze. And you can try and keep things consistent as far as the overall size of it goes. This is a little bit thicker than that. That's all good. Now for this, we are going to kind of draw a line across. But for starters, this is going to be, let's say this is going to be the outside of edge of our maze. It can go in a little bit further, but we're going to keep it like this first. So what we're going to do is all of our shapes are going to get drawn to this vanishing point right here. We want to be able to see where those shapes are. So I'm going to put my pencil right here and line that up, and I'm going to draw a shape that's going to go out away from the vanishing point. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring it over here. So we are straddling the horizon line. So it's going to go across like that. So there is part of my shape. It goes up a little bit there. That's fine. So we're going to come back towards us. Now you can get pretty elaborate with these, but it's just a matter of keeping track of everything and making sure things stay either perpendicular to the horizon line or to a vanishing point. Remember, if it doesn't do one of those things, it is incorrect. That's one of the nice things about perspective is that there is a right and there is a wrong. If it doesn't do to the vanishing points, then it is incorrect. So this is looking like a little E here, and I'm going to come over, put my pencil right here. I'm going to make the alleyway for this. We're going to go a little bit further. So you kind of need to think a little bit ahead on what you want your overall design to look like. Do you want it to be kind of all intermingled with each other, which ideally would be nice? Or do you want it to be a whole series of false endings that kind of spiral around to where you only end up with 1 or 2 possible routes? So we're just gonna kind of make some shapes here and kind of make this up as we go along. Now for this, I'm going to have this shape come back this way, and it's going to go down into here with a little nub. And as you go along, you may end up having to like close off some areas because it is too easy to do, or it's a maze. So there's any variety of things that can happen. And it's just a matter of taking your time and kind of working your way through. And you want to make sure that you leave yourself enough room in order to be able to make those things. And everything that we do here has to be closed off. So it's vital that you leave enough room in order to be able to do that. And also, we want to make sure that we are drawing light enough that if we make mistakes, then it is relatively easy to fix them. Because if you draw super hard, you're going to have a hard time trying to fix one of those things up. So we're going to go like this, and I'm just kind of working my way through. So I got to connect to this somehow and trying to make it look a little interesting. It's a maze, so we don't want it to be super easy. First one of these that I did, I thought it was really complicated, and then I looked at it and it was basically 3 turns and it was over. So I'm just going to make it to where it looks really complicated, but when you actually start to break things down, it's not. So we're just going to continue this here. Like I said, you can always go through and kind of erase stuff out, change things up. So that is one continuous shape there, and you want to go out and build out the whole thing. Okay. So we'll come back to this one. So I've got one here where I've got all the shapes drawn out. Okay. So all of these come to this vanishing point over here closest to me. Now to finish it, we want to go to the other vanishing point and draw our lines. Everything else gets drawn down to the vanishing point on the other side. And that's the only way that it is going to work out. Now on this particular one, I didn't have the wall drawn in, so let's do that real quick, just so that way we can see. So there's the edge of my wall, and we'll come over from here and we'll do like this. So this one's going to run off the page. That's fine. But if we want to keep it, try and keep it on the page, then we need to go a little bit smaller with it. All right, so I'm going to draw all of these corners are going to go to this vanishing point. So we go like this. Wherever we have an intersection, it gets drawn to the vanishing point, because we want to make this look 3-dimensional. That's the whole point of perspective, is to try to get things to look like they have a depth, like they have actual thickness, and you can see where everything goes to. So with this, I would have to figure out where my corner is, line up with this vanishing point, come across like that. But that's actually going to go away because this lines up. So we don't actually see any of the bottom of that. And that's one of the things that you need to think about, is some of these that are closer here to your walls, you actually need to think a little bit about the bottom, how thick they are going towards the edge. So we can do that, and that gives us corners. But for here, like I said, I got to make the bottom of it, so that goes the bottom right there, bottom right there. This one's going to be kind of weird because it's by the horizon, so bottom right there, that goes through like that. So it's all about just going through, finding all of your corners and making sure that everything lines up the way that you want it to, so that way you can have, you know, everything be consistent. So here's the thickness from my wall, and that would be, this would come out like this, like that, and then that connects out here. That's my outer edge. We do the same thing over here. So there's my thickness. So I'd go through, finish out all of these lines, And more than likely, the first time you go through it, you're going to miss something. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. So as you start to shade, you'll find some lines that you miss because you'll look at it and go, oh, I don't know where this wall ends. Or, you know, this doesn't have a place for me to go around the corner. So it's just a matter of going through, finding all those lines, draw them to the other vanishing point. All right, so when you get all of that done is when you go to start to shade it. All right, so this one is already finished, so I'm just going to explain how it's done. So we have one of the faces is left blank, the white of the page. Okay, and then the other side of that, so this is everything that goes to this vanishing point. The side that goes to the other vanishing point is going to be a middle value. So however your value scale goes, 1 through 5, 1 through 6, just find one that's in the middle, so like a 3 or a 4, depending, and get that shaded in. And then everything that is either a bottom, like this, or a top, like this, is going to be shaded as dark as that pencil will go. If you have an ebony pencil, even better, or a 6B, that will get you a nice, really dark finish to your drawing. So like I said, the first one of these I did, which is this one, is really simple. So here's my maze. So I take that initial line that I drew, and I want to break that apart so that way I know where my opening is, and that opening goes to the vanishing point as well. I said everything goes to a vanishing point, or it goes straight up and down. If it doesn't do that, it is incorrect. So here's my opening, and then this will go into the maze. So here's my opening here. It's a really difficult maze. So we come in, we can go left, go all the way across, over and out, or we can come in, we can go right and go all the way over, come across this way and out. Or if you want to take, well, that's it. Even if you go straight, make a turn, and you go around. Everything is relatively simple. You can get over this way, and it gets a little more complicated, but make sure that it's fairly complex. Before you go and draw everything out, make sure, give it a once over, make sure that everything is good, and then have somebody else look at it maybe to see if you've missed anything, or if you need to make it more complicated. Do it when it is in the line drawing form like this. It is significantly easier to change things at this point. So that is a maze in 2-point perspective. Enjoy.